welcome back to another part of our e-commerce app. So this is going to be the fifth part of our project, and in this part we'll implement the TypeSafe navigation. So previously what we have done is that basically if we go to our code and over here inside this main activity, you see that we have these routes, right? And we created these routes for each and every one, and then this is basically the traditional way or the existing way of how these specific navigation works. And what we have to do is that if we want to pass some data, we have to like create some parameters through slashes. Like over here, if I want to pass something, what I'll do is that I'll go like this, id is equals to something like this, and then we need to generate these whole urls as well to be passed, right? So it was a little bit hectic in a way to implement all of these things and then navigating. So what Google has done is that Google has introduced a new way of navigation, and that is TypeSafe, where you can use your classes rather than using the string routes for this. So what we'll do is that we'll create a class, and then that class will be passed or used as a route, right? So to switch it to the new implementation, the first thing that we would like to do is to update the navigation version, right? So where do we have this? This is the navigation compose. This is currently at 2.7.7, but Android basically requires it to be 2.8.0. So it was introduced in 2.8.0. So what we'll do is that the first thing is that we need to update to the latest version so that we are aware of what we are doing and we have the access to all the needed dependency. First thing, right? Second thing is that inside this presentation layer over here, what I'll do is that I'll go to this section and I'll create a new package, and let's call it navigation. Okay. And in this navigation package, what I'll create is that basically I'll create a class and call it navroutes. Okay. And this is going to be file. Okay. So over here, what we'll do is that we'll create classes, and the first thing that over here, what we would like is we need to serializable as well. Okay, we don't have the serializable over here, so over here what I'll do is that I'll add it over here. Okay, and then this serialization is going to be the version for us. Let's change it this, and that is 1.6.3. okay, so I'll just sync it and get back to my presentation Gradle file. Okay, so now it's done. So what we'll do is that we'll implement this. Okay, and now it is done. Second thing that I would like to do over here is that we need to define this serialization as well. It says there is some error with this. Just one thing I missed over here is that we need to define the JSON as well at the end, because over here in the toml file you can see that I added this dash JSON as well, so we need to be specific. Okay, now this is done, and now I'll go back to my route section and I'll create a serializable over here, and now I'll create the screens that I had. So I'll call it home screen, let's say, and again serializable object card screen, serializable object profile screen. Okay, that is done. Now next thing is that I'll go to the home screen or main activity over here, and now you can see over here we had the previous implementation, right? We have this home card and stuff like that, but now over here these are the nav buttons, bottom navigation. Over here what I'll do is that I'll use the stuff that we had, so I'll just change the route to any, and then home screen, and this is going to be card screen, and this last one is going to be profile screen. That is one thing. Okay, now once we do that, we'll have some like issues with our implementation, so we need to fix those as well. And also over here, like these routes, now they are not supposed to be used this way, so I'll just change this to home screen. And now over here, rather than passing it as a parameter, what we'll do is that we'll use this and call it home screen. Okay, same goes for this section is going to be card screen, and this last one is going to be profile screen, right? Profile screen. Okay, so now it's done, and there is just one thing left, and that is basically to implement this specific structure. Right now this is basically managing the current route state with a different way, and what we need to do is that we need to define it in a different way so that we can get them. So basically I can show you when I run this, this will not show the status. Like over here you can see form is selected, it is blue selected, right? But once that change is done and that is basically executed over here, this will basically not look like this. Now you can see if I click on any of the item, the selection doesn't work, right? So we need to make these things work as well. So what I'll do is that over here inside this navigation bar where I have this current route, which is like this, what we will do is that over here the selection, this current route should be equals to this, but there is a catch. Okay, so what we'll do is that we'll go to current route dot substring before, let's call it substring before, and that substring before will use a question mark. Okay, and now that is going to be item dot route, and we'll convert that to the class, and from there we'll get the qualified name. So basically what I've done is that basically or let's just is selected is equals to this. Okay, and call this is selected. So why I did that is basically when we create a route, it contains a lot of other stuff as well, but the start for that is basically, that is the name. If you like log it, you'll see that, right? So what we do is that from that route we get the name of that specific class, like in our case it's the home button or card screen or profile screen or whatever that we have, and we compare it, right, with the qualified name of that route that basically comes in. So that is how basically we are going to do that. Okay, and now is selected is over here, and we'll just replace it wherever we have, like over here you see we have this thing for the image, so I'll use this is selected as well. And now let's just run it and see if what we did is actually working. Now you can see that it's selected, and if I switch to another screens, they are working as well. Okay, so this was the part of the nav routes. Now there is one more thing that we want to do. Like if I open my this screen, and over here I get to this detail screen over here, right? So basically what we'll do is that whatever the product is, we'll pass that product to this screen and we'll display it this way. So we need to implement this as well. Okay, and for that what we need to do is that we need to pass one object to another composable. So like the product will be coming from this specific screen. If I click on any item, I would like to travel to this screen with all these details. Okay, now let's just do that. So to do that, what we will be doing is that first of all we'll create a new composable. Okay, so I'll get over here, or before doing that let's just go to nav routes, and over here what we'll create is that we'll create a serializable, and that is going to be data class product details, and it will ask for a product. Okay, and since it's not product, is not basically serialized, we want this to be serialized. Okay, and it is good to keep models specifically used for these kind of purpose separately in your for each of your module. So what I'll do is that I'll create a new package over here, and let's call it model package. Okay, and now over here what I'll do is that basically I'll create a class, and let's call it data class, and that is going to be UI product model. Okay, and this is basically will be exact same model for that we have in the products, like for this, but the only difference for this specific model would be that we'll use it as a serializable. Okay, and we'll also use it in the UI. So I'll just make it serializable, right? And there's one more thing this time I would like to do is that I'll create a function and call it from product. Okay, now previously we were using two and why I can't do it over here, because the presentation layer is not available. So like if I want to access the product model, UI product model over here, will not be able to do that, right? So let's say, let's like randomly if I want to use UI product model, and it's not available, right? Because we don't have that dependency, but over here we can do that. So what I'll do is that I'll create this something like this. Okay, now let's just get over here and call it UI product model. Now this is done. Thirdly, what we will do is that now we'll go to the main activity, and for now let's just create a composable with that screen name that we created. What we did, that is going to be product details, right? And now this text, oh, let's just update the text, let's just test it if like the implementation that we have done is actually working. Right now the thing is that I'll just try to pass the product from there, and then I'll see if this works. Okay, so what we will do is that we'll get the item from here. So I'll call it wall product is equals to, and then I'll call it to route, and then over here the route is going to be product details. Okay, so once you do that, you'll have the product over here, and then what we will do is that we'll just call the UI product, or let's just rename it to product screen, or maybe product route. It sounds much better. So product route dot product, and then that product is going to be the title that we pass. Right now when I run this will not work, this will crash. Okay, and why will it crash? I'll show you in a while. Okay, sorry, there is just one more thing that I want to do, and that is to like navigate to this screen, right? So I'll go to the home screen, and where do we have that product item? I guess this is the product item. Yeah, so we need to travel back, like implement some more changes that we need over here are these, like we would like to have a on click for this, like we do for others. And then over here what we will do is that we'll use a product to be passed. Okay, and I'll just copy this, and over here in the card section where we have these padding, I'll just add another thing that is clickable, and on click dot product. Okay, that's one thing. And now from wherever we are using it, we will be passing that to the top level hierarchy over here from this as well. So now the header row is coming from, let's say, this section. These are the two sections from where it is coming, and that is the top level of the home content. Or maybe we are not yet there, so let's just keep on passing to the top. Okay, and over here on click is going to be on click, same goes for this one. We'll call it on click equals to on click. Okay, now this is done, and now from where we call the home content, we'll just use the on click functionality over here. Okay, so like let's, for now what I'll do is that I'll just create this, and I'll call it product details, right? And I need to pass the object as well, and it's saying that you cannot basically map it. So what I'll do is that I'll go to to UI product model dot, okay, we need to make it inside a companion object so that we can access it as statically, because we need this. Okay, and over here, like what we will do is that we'll use this as a product. Okay, and now I guess we can do this. Okay, so what I had done is that basically the function I created was wrong, so we did that, and now I'll go from product and then I'll pass IT to it. Okay, here product, from product. Wow. Okay, now this should work. Okay, so this is done, and now we have this specific class that has been created, and this, where were we, into the main activity. Okay, now let's just run it, and now you'll see that it will not work even now because there will be some serialization issues that we might face. Okay, so basically it's crashing because it says that for handling the custom object, since the product is our custom object, you need to provide some sort of nav type as well for this. Okay, so basically to do that, so we need to define a type, nav type as well, right? And what is a nav type? Nav type basically helps in converting that specific object, the custom object, into a serialized form, and then so that the navigation can use it, right? So we need to do that, and to do that, what I'll do is that I'll go over here to this specific navigation class that I created, and inside this class I'll say product details, or maybe product nav type. Okay, and then I'll create this as a file. Okay, now over here what we will do is that we'll say wall product nav type. Okay, and this is going to be an object, and that is nav type. And over here what I'll do is that I'll pass the UI product model. Okay, and now, and also let's call it is nullable allowed, and let's call it false because we don't want to pass a null item, right? So this is one thing, and the second thing is that we need to implement a couple of needed function, like the important function that we need to do. Okay, and over here what we need to do is that we need to define all these functions. So like how we are going to convert the bundle, like, or the string into our the serialized form, into our deserialized form, right, into the UI product model, and how we are supposed to parse those values, or if we want to put it, how we are supposed to do it. So these kind of things. There is one more thing that we will do is that serialize as well. We would like to do it on our own because there is another catch for that. So this is one thing that we'll do. The second thing is that over here there are certain things that, let's say, I want to change, and that is parcelize, the first thing that I would like. And the second thing is that this specific class needs to be parcelable as well for this. Okay, and for parcelize, since it's an unresolved reference, there is just one thing that we would like to do, and then that is going to be go over here, and along with the serialization we'd also use course Kotlin serialize parcelize as well. This will basically allow us to use this annotation over here, right? Let's just wait for a while so that it builds it. Okay, now you can see that I can use it, right? So I'll just use this. Okay, now this is done. Now let's just get back to this section, and over here what we will do is that we'll implement these things, right? So when we do that, it will definitely say that it's like deprecated, and we will use the latest implementation. But the problem with this latest implementation is that this might not work for certain this might not work for certain version as well. Okay, but since it's not complaining, this means that we might be targeting the API above that. So sounds good, right? Second thing is that we need to parse the values, right? So we'll get a string, and then we need to parse that value. So to parse that, what I'm going to do is that I'll use JSON. Basically, item is equals to JSON dot decode from string. That's pretty much what we want, and then we'll return item. That's one thing, right? For serialization, we'll do again the same thing that we did. We'll just import it, and then for last functionality, what we will do is that we'll just put parseable. Okay, so this is something that we have done, and now we'll go back to our main activity, and inside this main activity, what we will do is that we'll create the type map. Okay, so we'll see that type map is equals to something like this, right? And that's just import it. Okay, now when we do that for a normal case, like in a normal case, this should work for you because this is the most that you will be doing and it will work. But in our case, there might be one more issue, and I'll explain what that issue could be. Okay, so I'll just run it again, and this time the initial crash that we got right away when we were launching the app, that will go away, but that should go away at least. Okay, what are we doing? We are marking it as a serializable. It's basically complaining because it says that you are not marking your UI class model. It's fine, and it's been used in the nav routes class. It's also serializable, which is fine. So where do I am missing anything? Okay, yeah. So basically, this is really bad. I missed to like add this. Like we are supposed to, since we created the nav type for product model, we should be having this, and we were not using it. We were using it in a wrong way. So that's probably because of that, and hopefully this time the app will work. It looks like it's working, right? So now the thing is that when I click on this, I'm expected to to be taken to a new screen that shows a text for now. But when I click on this, it should crash, right? The reason for that crashing is that if I go to the logcat and I show you a crash, this is basically going to be a very common crash when we are using the navigation, and it says that basically navigation destination that matches navdeep cannot be found. So basically it's not able to find that specific thing, and the reason lies over here, like this URL. Since we are using a URL, what it does, it basically it breaks the navigation because it just follows the compose navigation follow the traditional like web-based navigation system, where a slash is basically supposed to be like a redirecting to a new resource. Okay, and since we have image URLs in our product, and when we like it convert it to a string, it has those slashes, and that slashes basically tell the compose or like the navigation system that this is basically targeting toward a new resource or a new path, and that is where basically it breaks down, right? So that is one thing that we need to fix, and that fix should be done where in the nav type, where basically we are all the serialization and deserialization has been done. Okay, now let's just get over here, and now you can see that this is basically the parsing of this, right? So basically it is parsing that specific stuff from there. This is basically the serialization, right? So when we are serializing, what I want to do is that I want to do a couple of things, and that is basically, let's just say I'll create a new variable for now. Let's just call it encoded. Let's call it encoded, and then this encoded should be used as value dot copy, right? And inside this copy, like over here, you can see that we have this image. What I want is that I want to encode this, so I'll use URL encoder dot encode and something like this. Okay, that is one thing. Secondly is that there might be description which have slashes as well, so we need to like handle those as well. And for that, what I'm going to do is that I'll use a different mechanism. For that, I'll use a string, and inside the string what I'll do is that I'll use base 64. Okay, and base64 dot get encoder dot encode, and I'll use this. And at last over here at the end, what I'll do is that I'll replace all the slashes with underscores. Okay, this is going to be done for description and for title as well. Okay, so that is one thing. This is encoding, and then that encoded thing can be passed over here. And since like we have this, we can directly do that over here as well. So that something like this. Okay, now this is the encoding part that is done. The second thing is that we need to, now once we have the items, we want those items to be decoded as well. So what I'll do is that I'll go over here and then I'll create a copy of it, right? And now the copy is going to be URL decoder dot decode, and that URL will decode, and then for string it will just do the same stuff but in a reverse order. It will just get decoder and then decode the description and title. And then now let's just run it again. This time I'm expecting this to be working properly, so that hopefully this time it will fix it and we'll be able to navigate to another product section as well. So okay, no it didn't, and this time it looks like it says superclass is being not called for this. No such method get parcelable. Okay, there is just one thing that I missed, and that is basically for some cases this get bundle might not work since it is available above API 33. So what we need to do is that we need to update the structure according to, right, is something like this. Okay, so if it is above this, we'll use that, else what we will use it this one. Okay, and now if I run, hopefully, okay, there is one more catch. I believe we need to make it to this. I'll just rerun it. Okay, now it's loading, and now if I click, it takes me to the new screen that shows this thing. So this was basically a little bit more in detail stuff about how the navigation can be handled for our custom objects. So I would say the parcelization or the serialization stuff will be done in the previous implementation as well, because for URLs and for strings that have those slashes, you need to handle it properly so that the navigation doesn't block, right? Okay, so that was it for today's video, and I hope you like it. And please comment down below if you have any questions, suggestion or feedback. And if you haven't subscribed to my channel yet, please do subscribe. I'll see you in the next video. So till then, happy coding. Bye.